up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We're back here at the home office, the official address known as Raiti's Rides LLC. And guess what? We have something new coming from Honda, more like updated coming from Honda. What is it? It's the updated, changed up, refresh 2025 Honda Civic Si. Has Honda improved on this sports injected compact car? Why don't we go ahead and find out? And here we go. There it is. There is your updated 2025 Honda Civic Si. So coming off of the unveil and the first drive of the Civic Hybrid, remember we did the sedan drive in Montreal, Canada, and we have, of course, the hybrid hatchback coming up. Now it's time to show off the goods when it comes to the Civic Si. Civic Si has been around since 1986, if you could believe that. And what's great is that they've decided to take urban gray pearl metallic, which is a fantastic color on all the Civics, no matter if it's a Type R, no matter if it's a hybrid or this or that. It just goes well on any of the Civics. First time available on a Honda Civic Si. What's also fascinating is that besides the Civic Si being around since 1986, the Civic itself has been around since 1973. That makes it the longest running nameplate in Honda's lineup. Even longer running than the mighty Honda Accord. It beats it by about 3 years. And during that time, Honda has sold over 12 million Honda Civics. No matter what the trim is, definitely been a very popular car. Now, looking at the updates, what are we seeing? We're seeing more of an evolution rather than a revolution. And that is the case for all of the 2025 Honda Civics pretty much, is that it's an evolution of the style, of the technology, and the driving experience. And that's pretty much what I expected. I hope it's what you expected. I hope you weren't expecting some big, huge change, because this is where we are. We're halfway through the run of the 11th gen Honda Civic. Now, what do we got going on? We have, besides urban gray pearl being an all new color available on the Civic Si, you have a new front fascia. It's a little bit more aggressive. New grille, also flowing more air. And then, of course, you're going to see things like revised taillights and new 18-inch wheels. But that's just the surface level of everything. It goes beyond that. So what you're going to find is that they tweaked the automatic rev match downshift feature to be more efficient. They've also decided to kind of go through the suspension and retune things to give it that even more so Honda connected driving experience. It's still front wheel drive, and it's still only available as a manual transmission. So either you know how to drive manual or you're not buying this car. Looking at the front of it, taking similar style that we saw on that first drive with the Civic Hybrid. And if you haven't seen that review, I'll leave it at the end of this one. I really like how that angular style to the lower grille is really playing out well in the Si. Definitely, like I said, they said it was going to be more aggressive looking. It certainly is, especially that lower section. You still, of course, have the Si badge, that sport injected. That's what that means, sport injected, fun driving experience and everything else. You're still going to get a limited slip diff, which is very important, especially with it being a front-wheel drive car, getting that power to the ground. What are some of the other things going on? Of course, when it comes to the actual gearbox and everything else, this generation received a lighter flywheel. So that means that the engine revs a little bit more freely. Also, when it comes to the steering rack, they retuned it to where it's not going to be so many turns to make, say, a U-turn or something like that. It's going to be actually quicker steering than the previous Honda Civic Si. And you know me, I feel like once you get behind the wheel of an Si, it just all makes sense. Where the gear lever is, how the clutch pedal is laid out with the brake pedal and the throttle, and then that really pure driving engagement that not a lot of brands are able to bring to the table. Now, what about pricing? Because obviously there's some changes on the inside, which we're going to get to very shortly. Let's talk about pricing. So still, I think in today's market, which we all know that prices have gotten out of control just across the board, starting MSRP is $29,950. The only other things you have to add to that price point is $1,095 for destination charge. And then if you want to get the extra high performance summer rated tires, that is $300 added to that $29,950 price tag. Such a strong value in this sport compact car segment. And I think that's one of the things I've always liked about the Civic Si is that it comes pretty much optioned the way that you would want it. You get a sunroof. Remember, that's a thing that a lot of people with the Type S, the Integra Type S, or the Honda Civic Type R, you don't get a sunroof in that car. This comes standard with the sunroof. You're getting updated seats, and what's nice is they've added heated seats for the first time to the Honda Civic Si, and the seats are unique to this vehicle. Here's another color, very popular, obviously white. It's not championship white. Championship white is reserved just for the Honda Civic Type R. But it's still a very, very nice shade of white. It's more of a crisp, bright white rather than the creamy white of what the championship white is all about on the Honda Civic Type R. Another thing you're not going to find on a Civic Si are the red Honda badges. That is also reserved for the Type R. And remember, those red badges go back to the 1960s when Honda started racing in Formula One. That is what you saw on the nose of those Formula One Grand Prix cars, the early Grand Prix cars. Now, let's talk about horsepower. Let me know if you think it deserves a zonk. I guess I'm a little bummed out, but I'm really not surprised. Everything remains the same. So you have a 1.5 liter turbocharged engine. It's 200 horsepower. It's 192 pound-feet of torque. And it's still, like I said, made it to a 6-speed manual transmission. No automatic is being planned for it, whether you're thinking DCT, CVT, BVD, DVD, whatever. None of that. No automatic transmissions, just a 6-speed manual with that limited slip diff. MPGs are still king in this car. Even though it's a fun, sporty car to drive, 27 MPGs in the city, 37 on the highway, which gives you combined of 31 MPGs. I don't know any other sport compact car that, with this kind of driving experience, gives you that good of a return on MPGs. I guess the downside is if you look at the Volkswagen Golf GTI, that has 241 horsepower. You could still get a manual transmission for 2024 model year, or you could get the 7-speed dual clutch transmission. So it's kind of hard to really say, oh, wow, this is definitely hands down the one to buy. Now, of course, you are going to spend a little bit more for a GTI, spend a little bit more for an Elantra N, because an Elantra N manual, if you want to go Hyundai Elantra N manual, you're looking at around $35,000 MSRP, which if you do this simple math, that's almost $5,000 more. You are getting a bit more, but when it comes to reliability, when it comes to engaged driving experience, fit and finish, it's hard to really challenge the Honda Civic Si for what you're getting at that price point. Now, another thing to point out, it's only available as a sedan. If you're saying to yourself, why don't they have the two-door coupe anymore? People didn't buy it. People didn't buy it in numbers like they did the sedan. So, of course, they're going to just sell it as a sedan. Is it going to be available as a hatchback? No, it's not, because the Honda Civic Type R is a hatchback. They would prefer, Honda would prefer if you spend $44,000 and get the hatchback Type R, which does give you 315 horsepower. So we're talking about 115 horsepower more, and definitely an amazing driving experience. Not that the SI isn't amazing, just the Civic Type R really is on another level. Now looking at the interior, what are some of the new things? All new 10.25-inch digital gauge cluster. You're also going to have integrated shift lights. It's going to be interesting to see if it's like the Type R, like a Formula One style multi-LED shift light, or is it just going to be a standard singular unit? You still get the 9-inch infotainment system, but what's different is you now have Google built in. And another thing that you have to remember is you're getting, like I pointed out earlier, the heated seats. And what's great about this is that, of course, with the different modes that the Civic Si has, the gauge cluster will change depending on what mode that you're in. If you're looking at the interior right now, you're going to get aluminum pedals, just like before, which I'm glad to see that's still there. One of the best manual transmissions in the business. And I'm glad that they kept the leather style shift knob rather than giving it a very similar shift knob to the SI like the Type R has. Now, if you're looking at the infotainment system, it's one of those things where it's smaller than the Elantra N, but I don't know. The thing that bums me out is that you're not getting any kind of special screens or anything like that, depending on what mode you're in. You got to get the Type R to, of course, get the data log-R system. If you get an Elantra N, you are obviously going to get those nice custom screens that you could put up with all sorts of important information like engine oil temp, the shift lights, and everything else. The seats, I still think they look fantastic. The problem is that if you go with a blue, the red kind of doesn't really work, for me at least. But I really think that the black with the red, they are still cloth, and I'm okay with that. I think that the seats wear very well. The material is very, very good on it. It's got the SI embroidery. You know, they improved how they stitch the seat material together to make it more supportive. The frames have been changed up for the 11th gen Honda Civic Si to give you a better, more comfortable seat, but a seat that holds you into place. And they're not vice grips. They're not as bolstered as a Type R, but even the Type R seats don't feel like vice grips, to be honest with you. So it's nice to see continuation of a good seat, and of course now having them be heated seats makes it even better as well. And then they keep swearing up and down that the driving dynamics are going to be increased with this vehicle because of suspension changes. They made the chassis more rigid. Technology-wise, there's your Google Maps, your Google built-in, so we're seeing an evolution of the technology. One thing I'm willing to bet the farm on is that they did not update the backup camera. And that's something that I was just talking about it today with somebody, is that the backup camera on my Type R, it sucks. It's a big zonk. And it's like, okay, you're giving us Google built-in. That's wonderful. To be honest with you, for me, I could care less. It would be nice to have a better resolution backup camera, especially because this is like such a great daily driver that's a manual transmission. It'd be nice to be able to back up and see clearly out the backup camera. Just like before, you're still going to get the wire mesh. Love that style, how it covers all the AC vents. And I really like that red trim. If you look at the red trim around the wire mesh where the AC vents are located, that even though it's plastic, it looks like anodized red aluminum, and it kind of just ties it all in. Like, look at the red on the door panels, which are nice, the red on the seats, with the red on the dash, and then of course if you're in sport mode, now you're going to get red on the gauges, and you're getting the full 10.25-inch gauge cluster, which is fantastic. I think that if you're looking for either your first brand new car and you want a manual transmission, this is really going to be it. If you want one that's going to make you a better driver when it comes to twisty roads and whatnot, I think the Civic Si is hands down one of those standouts. It's just the challenges, like I said, I think it's just a little sad that they didn't do any tweaking to increase the overall performance, horsepower, and torque-wise, especially since, remember, with this generation, they actually went about 5 horsepower back. So kind of interesting. And then, of course, to finish it off, probably one of the most popular colors on the 11 Gen Civic Si is going to be Rally Red. And it's interesting because I feel like Rally Red fits the 11 Gen Civic Si and the Type R better than any of the other colors. Especially when you look at Rally Red on previous generations. I feel like on this generation, it works really well. You got the new flat black wheels, so new design, but they're keeping them flat black like what you could currently get for your Civic Si. So I'm glad that they kept that. But let me know what you think. A lot of updates, nothing really earth-shattering, but are you happy with this evolution? And are you happy that they kept the price point in check? Would you be willing to spend more money if you got more? Let me know in that comment section. But that's the big question with this. Is this the best new sport compact car to buy, the 2025 Civic Si? Let me know how you feel about it in the comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit the subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raiti Reds family. Need to thank Lori Raiti and, of course, Oscar Raiti, two of the best videographers. They are like peanut butter and jelly. They are like a pizza and pepperoni on it. Can't do it without them, so thank you guys for all your help. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.